Okay, so we're talking failure today. Few words elicit an emotional response more strongly than the word failure. One of the biggest obstacles to success is a fear of failure. In fact, most people are more motivated to avoid failure than they are to even freaking achieve success. How about that? Most people don't even have written goals down because of the fear of failure. When you set a goal, you're defining success, but you're also defining failure. However, failure is a necessary part of success and successful living. Failure is a common result. It's also a lot more common than success. Failure is a short stop along the path to success. How about that? There's no significant success without a significant amount of failure. So perhaps failure is something that we should welcome and embrace, or at least be considered neutral and expected. Should anticipate a fair amount of failure along the way. If you're not failing, you're not trying. So, on the Productive Not Busy podcast, where we're going to give you more money, more free time, less stress, we're going to talk about failure.
You're listening to the Productive Not Busy podcast, where our mission is to make you more money so you'll have less stress and more free time. It's all about mindset, attitude, and taking action. And your host, Wayne Weathersby, knows how to make that happen. He's negotiated and closed over $150 million in contracts while building businesses with proven success strategies that he wants to share with you. So if you're ready to make some real money, then let's get to it. Here's Coach Wayne.
All right. So, failure is not a fun subject for some people. So, on the fear of failure subject, fear failure is normal, and the fear of failure is a huge roadblock to success. So, why are we still afraid of failing? My question. Fear of failure is one of the most common fears in human history. Unfortunately, though, if you have this fear, you're likely or unlikely to experience a lot of success if you're just ate up with it. It might be challenging to conquer this fear, but necessary if you want to reach whatever the highest level of whatever you're achieving or wanting to achieve. Let's look closer at fear, okay? Fear of failure has several components. First, fear of looking incompetent is one. If you fail, you must not know what you're doing, right? That might be true in some cases. However, just because you don't know what you're doing right now doesn't mean you'll never figure it out. It takes practice to be good at something. Remember, think how long it took you to learn to walk or talk or ride a bike or swing a golf club or play an instrument. Those processes are little more than failure after failure after failure to a little bit of success to more success. A lot of people have a fear of looking like a failure. Suffering a failure doesn't make you a failure. You may have failed to do something, but that's not a permanent character flaw. A person that can't be a failure, a person can only experience failure, right? Let me say that again. A person can't be a failure. A person can only experience failure. Then you've got the belief that failure is like the final end game. There aren't many things in life that only give you one chance. You can always try again. You have that choice. Abraham Lincoln, for example, had more failures than most and still became a great US president. If you don't believe me, look up his story and see how yours compares to his. He had failed careers, businesses, lost multiple elections, and still made it happen. Got to not have fear of your own limitations either. Failure doesn't reveal your long term limitations. It might reveal your current limitation, but those can be altered. Finding out your limitations is good news because you can do something about them then and become better and stronger and more capable than you were before. Then some people have this, the fear of success. Maybe you're not afraid of failing at all. Maybe you're actually afraid of succeeding. This might sound really stupid, but it can happen. Once you're successful, guess what? People will expect more from you. You've set the bar. There are a variety of reasons why you might fear success. So give it some thought. Ask yourself why you fear failure. Is it one of the reasons that I mentioned above? Understanding the reasons for fear is the first step to working past it. The mental resistance caused by fear of failure can be enough to bring you to your knees. Winston Churchill, right? Got it up here on my wall. Success is not failure. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. So we got to identify the fear of failure. What is it that you're fearful of? How do you know if you have the fear of failure at all? Some people don't think that they just lack motivation or clear direction. Others fool themselves into thinking that success doesn't matter to them, but everyone has things they want to accomplish. A fear of failure might be getting in your way. So, can you identify these actions and thoughts? You're not aggressively and enthusiastically pursuing your goal or expectation. If you're not getting up each day and attacking those goals and expectations, you might be afraid of failing. Ask yourself what you're waiting for if you're not aggressively attacking it every day. You can't make up your mind regarding what you want. The inability to choose a goal or future for yourself is often a symptom of fearing of failure. You almost certainly know what you really want. You just don't quite have the nerve to stand up and claim it. You can't seem to move past the planning stages. You know, someone that's great at making elaborate and impressive plans to achieve their goal, but they never seem to arrive at the starting line. There's always one more thing that they need to check out, to research, to understand, or to find. See, they suffer from resistance whenever they plan to work on their goals. This could be experienced in a variety of ways. A few examples include procrastination, fatigue, headaches, or other physical symptoms, sudden urge to clean, or certain urge to, runs in their head of self doubt or anxiety. Something always seems to come up. If it seems like the world is conspiring against them, it's all in their head. They're using random events to rationalize not starting, not taking action. So if you know somebody that tends to think in these ways of fear, they have a fear of failure. It's likely holding them back or holding you back from the fine life that they deserve or you deserve. Just remember, you can overcome the fear with these following strategies. Colin Powell. There are no secrets to success. It is the result of preparation, hard work, and learning from failure. How about that? That hits home. So we got to have a healthy view of failure. What's a healthy view of failure, you say? A healthier and more accurate mindset around failure starts with a different view of failure. If you can view failure in a positive light, your fear of it will dissipate. I promise. You might even learn to like it. How about that? Think of how much your behavior would change if you viewed failure in a positive light. Learn to enjoy failure with these following strategies. And I think success will come, almost a certainty that it'll come. So, number one, you got to fail quick, man. Most people spend too much time thinking and planning. The sooner you get started and begin failing, the sooner you'll receive an education from the world. You'll also succeed sooner. So get out there and begin failing as soon as possible. Man, when I'm faced with something, let's do it. I'll figure it out. Say yes to everything. Figure it out because I will fail, which means I will learn, which also means I will be one step closer to succeeding. So let's roll. Avoid identifying with failure. Failing only means that your approach didn't work. It doesn't mean that you're a failure. There's no reason to take failure personally. It has nothing to do with you as a person. So if you approach what didn't work, try it another way. It's a beautiful thing. Failure and trying and taking action are not commodities. They're not a thing. No one's handing it out at the door. Failure is the most accurate feedback you can get. Your belief on whether or not something will work is just an opinion. It's a guess. The same can be said regarding the advice and opinions of other people. The only 100% accurate answer you'll ever receive will come from actually taking action and trying. The world will tell you if your idea sucks or not. I promise. So it's all just a big game. At the end of each level of a video game, remember when we were kids, there's always a difficult challenge or a monster to defeat. Life's no different, right? You weren't permanently dead when you lost at a level. You just started over. Try it again. Try a different strategy. Take a different door. Try a different gun. Try a different Mario Kart, right? Then you got to ask, what if? What if I do fail? What the fuck is going to happen? Likely nothing. Nothing is going to happen to you at all. Everything in the world would continue as it always has. It's just going to have a failure mark up on the wall that you know what, that didn't work. Let's try something different. Got to remember, you're stronger than any failure. You might not like the idea of being wrong or failing, but it doesn't mean you can't take it. It may take some practice, but you can learn to get past failure, I promise, and focus on success. Failure might not be so bad. It's not hard to see that failure can be viewed positively. It provides accurate feedback, really, on the road to success. You'll never learn more than you'll learn from failure. It has so much to give you if you're willing to accept it. Fail quickly, fail often, and fail forward. See, if you learn to accept failure, failure is the best teacher you'll ever have, I promise. It can't be emphasized enough. Not only should failure be accepted as part of the journey, it can be viewed in a positive light. When you understand how much failure has to offer you, you might come to view failure as a friend. These action steps, I promise, will help you appreciate failure and all that it provides. So you got to write it down. Number one, write down all the significant mistakes you've ever made in your life. Keep a mistake journal. Whenever you've received less than ideal results, write it down. Start with the earliest memories you can and work forward. I had a client ask me, so what are you talking about? Well, here's a couple examples. Let's say times that you played it too safe and regretted it. You ignored a gut feeling and regretted it. You said something that you shouldn't have and you regretted it. You made a faulty assumption about something or someone without getting all the facts. Maybe you ate too much food from the buffet or from the little roadside store and got sick. Perhaps you dated your friend's ex and it ruined your relationship. Mistakes are always forgivable if somebody has the courage to admit they made them. Got to look for patterns. We are creatures of habit. Any mistake we've survived, we often repeat over and over. What are the mistakes or failures that you've made repeatedly through your life? Ask yourself what you could learn from each of those mistakes. What is the lesson that they learned or that you learned? What is the moral of the story? Each mistake or failure is a learning opportunity. What could you have learned? What could you do to prevent each of those mistakes in the future? Is being familiar with their past mistakes enough? Maybe it is. Who knows? Maybe there are steps you need to take to ensure that you don't repeat your mistakes. Just think about each of them and determine the best course of action not to repeat those. Ask yourself how great your life would be if you'd only made each of those mistakes one time. Think about it. You've repeated many of your mistakes over and over and over again. Consider what your life would be like if you learned from every one of those mistakes and never repeated them again. That's the power of failure. It's the most effective way to learn and enhance your life. So fail quick, fail often, and fail forward. View your actions and decisions as experiments. Think about anything you do and say as a search for the truth. If it doesn't work out, you need to try something else. It's not just a failed experiment. There's no reason to avoid a harmless experiment. Experiments are fun and interesting. So, at this point, how do you feel about failure? It's easy to see how valuable failure can be when you view it from a positive perspective. Each failure is an amazing opportunity, if you ask me. Change your view of failure and you'll be less resistant to making mistakes. Failing is ultimately a good thing. So we got to develop a fearless mindset. Fearless mindset is the great defense against the fear of failure. Having the right perspective, a dose of motivation, and plenty of optimism carry you over the finish line of any goal or expectation that you set. You might be fearful now. That doesn't have to be the way you face life going forward. You can reduce your fear of failure, I promise. So, how do you set a fearless mindset? Here's some components that maybe you need to try. Write them down. Optimism. Optimism is important, huge. If you expect the worst, you'll never try. With a positive attitude, you'll be able to forge ahead with your plans. An optimistic attitude will allow you to handle any failure a lot easier. Practice being optimistic in your daily life, right? Are you the one that wakes up and goes, oh shit, it's going to be hot today. This is going to suck? No, just take it as what it is: rainy, hot, cold, windy. If the weather's bad, expect it, it'll clear up. Have expectations for everything that you do, from looking for a parking spot to asking someone out on a date. Studies show that pessimistic people tend to be more accurate, but optimistic people are more successful. Would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? Be a consumer of motivational material. Expose yourself to things that you find motivating: books, motivational material, songs, speeches, tapes, seminars, my podcast. It could be quotes, biographies, or articles related to successful people. Think about your heroes and learn from them. Fiction, nonfiction, doesn't matter as long as you're inspired, right? What about movies like Rocky? When you watch Rocky, that puts you in a mood to take on the freaking world, man. Think of the movies that get you motivated and watch them a couple of times a month. Take advantage of all of the materials by reading, listening, and watching. You're attacking your brain and mindset from every possible angle, because then you'll become good at dealing with discomfort. That negative feeling that you get when you think about failing is just an uncomfortable tingle then. You don't have to allow it to change your freaking life. Learn to keep moving, move forward. It will go away. Change your mindset and watch your life evolve. When you change the way you look at failure, you change your behavior and the way you evaluate risk. Spend a little time each day motivating yourself to become comfortable with the discomfort. You'll soon feel like you can handle anything in the world and anything that it throws at you. Right? Let's talk about some of those famous failures. Many of your favorite actors, writers, singers, historical figures dealt with like freaking stunning amounts of failure. If you can't derive inspiration from these people and perhaps duplicate their success, then you have something wrong with you. You can be just as successful as they are. The key is surviving the failure. So many of the famous and highly successful people suffered a lot of failure. I mentioned Abraham Lincoln earlier. Watched a documentary on him. And he was probably one of the best or greatest presidents of all time, but he wasn't always successful. Actually, it's probably pretty safe to say that he had more failures than most of us are willing to endure and would have not kept going. Back in the day, when he first started, when he was young, he went into the Illinois militia as a captain and left as a private. How does that happen? Then he was defeated when he ran for state legislature, failed in business. His girlfriend died, had a nervous breakdown. He was defeated for Speaker of the House of Illinois, defeated while running for Congress, defeated for the U.S. Senate, defeated for nomination for the vice presidency, and lost for the U.S. Senate twice before he became president. I didn't know this, ran across it somehow, but J.K. Rowling, the author of the Harry Potter series, she has a net worth of $1 billion. And she had her fair share of rejections before finding success. She spent 5 years writing the first Harry Potter book. It took an additional 2 years to find somebody to publish the thing. She was a single mom on welfare, wrote the book on a manual typewriter. She was rejected a dozen times before she found one that was interested in publishing it. How about those idiots that didn't? What about Sylvester Stallone? He managed to become a household name, earned millions and millions and millions of dollars, and won an Oscar. Stallone faced freaking tons of challenges. He was turned down by over 1,500 talent agents in New York. And there weren't even 1,500 agents to turn him down. He started over after he went through them all and started and tried again. And they kept telling him repeatedly that he looked and sounded funny, didn't have a chance. People wouldn't understand him. He wasn't attractive. He had tons of problems in school throughout his childhood and attended a special school for kids with disabilities. Didn't know that. Got his first job by spending the night in the hallway of an office of a casting agent that he had been rejected by at 4 p.m. that day. He slept in the hallway and was still there the next morning. And the guy said, "Okay, let's do this since you're not going away." He willed it in, took action. So, how much have you really failed, right? You can bet that most successful people you know have failed more than you have. I want you to be inspired by these great stories, right? Pick up a biography of your favorite hero, read about their life. You might be surprised and motivated by the amount of struggle that these people had. And it seems like the more successful they are, the way more failure than the average person experiences. They were just willing to keep on going. That's the thing. You know, when you go to the gym and you want to lose 30 pounds or you want to gain 30 pounds of muscle, it sucks. And you know what? 95% of people quit when it starts getting hard because you know what? I'm good. I'm good like I am. Right? There's a saying that says winning is great. But if you're really going to do something in life, the secret is learning how to lose. Nobody goes undefeated all the time. If you can pick up after a crushing defeat, you can go on and win again. You are going to be a champion someday if you can figure this out. So we got to minimize the likelihood of failure. So how do we do that? Just as you can minimize the likelihood of getting a sunburn, you can minimize the likelihood of failure. You're still likely to experience failure on the way to achieving your goals, but you can decrease the chances of it happening. There's no reason to fail more than necessary. Do your part and success will come faster, I promise. So there are 5 primary reasons that people fail. What are they, you ask? Well, first one is the lack of perseverance, or call it lack of patience. Success can take a long freaking time. You may have to go through several failures to find success, but brace yourself for the possibility that success could be right around the corner, or it could take a long time and longer than you expect. A lot of people have insufficient focus. Trying to do too many things ensures that you'll never be great at any of them. Everyone should have one big goal that they work on daily. What is yours? Here's a big one: negative attitude. Optimism is necessary to get started and to keep going. If you have a negative expectation or negative attitude, you're going to give up before you reach your goal. I promise. Stay positive. It works. When you fail, it's more important to tailor your approach based on your new perspective. Avoid holding on too tightly to one approach. Be flexible, and you'll have a better chance of reaching your goal. Remember that the goal is to find success, not to prove that you are right, taking your instincts in the first direction. Then there's insufficient effort. You're going to have to try hard. Mediocre efforts lead to mediocre results. Plain and simple. So are you guilty of any of these? That's my question. So why would you want to stack the deck against yourself? Just avoid these success pitfalls and you can produce or reduce the amount of failure that you experience. You'll save time and mental energy. And you can spend that energy on another future goal. Don't be afraid of failure. Don't suffer more than necessary, though, either. Approach your goals optimistically, confidently, and with your full focus. At the end of the day, you are solely responsible for your successes and failures. You, not anybody else. You. And the sooner you realize that, you accept that, and integrate that into your work ethic, you will start being successful. As long as you blame others for the reasons that aren't, you aren't where you want to be, you're always going to be a failure. So, in conclusion, now you can see just how beneficial failure can be. It's a natural and necessary part of achieving any success. Failure lets you know when you've approached a goal from an ineffective direction. It allows you to make distinctions and to learn valuable lessons. So avoid making the mistakes more than once, and you'll find that your rate of success goes up. The fear of failure can be a great hindrance to achievement. So getting over this fear all but guarantees success in some way, shape, or form. Many milestones will get you there. Fear can stop your efforts and lead to procrastination, though, and that's a killer. Embrace failure and all that it has to offer, and you'll find success sooner than you think. Appreciate your time. Thank you for hanging out with us. Remember, be nice, sell a bunch, take care, stay safe. See you soon.
You've been listening to the Productive Not Busy podcast with Coach Wayne. Join us next time for more money-making strategies to help you have less stress and more free time. Follow us on Facebook at Productive Not Busy, on Instagram at frontline.coach.wayne, and on Twitter at Wayne New Jr. And remember, be productive, not busy.